Guys, wow. Welcome back to another episode of Emotionally Unavailable. I'm your host, Malisa Hepner. Hi. I don't do that enough, or do I? I feel like a lot of people do that like every episode, and I just do it. Do I even do it on all my solos? I don't even know. Anyway, coming at you with a scratchy voice because I was outside for more than 5 minutes yesterday for what I'm loving referring to as the field trip from hell. And my body said, "Oh, you are outside for longer than 5 minutes. You shall be persecuted from the inside out." So I'm having really bad allergy stuff and just, feel like shit, if I'm being honest. Just a lot more activity than I'm used to these days, but whatever. We're going to make it. We're going to make it. It's also been kind of a heavy day, and I'll get into that at the end with the grief shit, I guess. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, because maybe this is your first episode here, or it's your first of my solo episodes that you're listening to. Yeah, I guess if you don't know this, then I lost my son, Jake, who was 18, almost 19, December 13th, 2025, 4.5 months ago, to a synthetic opioid overdose. And when I do solo episodes, at first my solo episodes were just updates about my grief, but they're transforming a little bit because they just are. So anyway, welcome if this is your first episode. But so I'll give that info at the end. Was I saying I really didn't take notes because I didn't even have the energy to do that. I literally just washed my face. It's like 7 p.m. and I just washed my face and put a little bit of makeup on for this. So that's it. Anyway, okay, so I always like go intuitively off like what I should talk about in a solo episode. And I've just been like, this has been coming up so much. I think my hesitance in like choosing this particular topic is this comes up a lot anyway. And that's overthinking. And if obviously that's like what I do the very most work with my clients on, but it's come up in my personal life too, where like I'm just helping walk people I love through that experience. And then I've gotten a couple of new clients too. And recently I used to get a ton of clients whose mental process was a lot like mine. Like, if you're into astrology, that fire sign shit, where you're just like super fiery, kind of aggressive, all your overthinking, it like becomes the spite that motivates you to do things. And now I'm getting a lot more clients who are just in that like watery energy, very like dissociated and in that freeze state. And I guess I'm going to be really honest here. I haven't said this out loud to very many people, but because that's not my process, like that's not the thing I've struggled with. My initial instinct when I register that that's what's going on with them is imposter syndrome. Like I've been getting, because my manifesting is fucking off the charts these days. Thank you, universe. And thank you, me. Anyway, I'm getting a lot more clients, like getting several new ones. And so I'm seeing a lot more, but imposter syndrome is so real. Before like every first episode before every first visit with my new client, and I guess I'm just noticing this now because I've gotten like so many new ones in a row versus like the sporadic way I've received clients for the last fucking 2 years. I'm like fully aware of it because I'm like, oh damn, I'm nervous again. And I am. I don't think that's ever going to go away. I kind of hope it doesn't because it forces me to use the tools. It also makes me be so fucking real, which is all I ever want in session. I want to be right there with you, fully trying to understand what your experience is and help you from the place I know. And I think also like my spirituality and like the beliefs that I hold around that really help me because our processes don't have to be exactly the same for me to like tap into that oneness and know like we're all carrying these same narratives. So if any of this is information that you have heard from me before, just throughout conversation or from your own therapist, and this feels a little repetitive, my bad. But I just wanted to really speak from my heart around this today because I had a very personal experience. I actually spoke about it on an episode that we'll release this week. So I hope you'll check that out with Dr. Sarah. I got very open about that to the point where I hope my child doesn't mind. Anyway, so overthinking, really, it's what our brain naturally does because if it can get you caught up in like a endless thought loop and you get that sense of control, because a thought loop, it just makes you think that there's going to be a resolution to this. If I can think about it enough, think about it from several different point of views, be upset, be angry, be whatever, because I see this a lot in grief with the rumination over regrets and remorse. And I'm so grateful that I don't live in that place. Truly, like no shade to anybody who does, but I'm so grateful that I have the tools that I have to not, because that's the shit that will drive you to the brink of insanity. And so because I already dealt with my overthinking. I already know the source of it. So the thing is that your brain literally can only keep you alive by feeding you catastrophe, thoughts of catastrophe, visions of catastrophe, feelings of catastrophe, the worst case scenario. And that's what your brain is doing, is constantly scanning your environment for danger. If you have any PTSD, and especially me with CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress just means like more than one event, a longer time period of the events. Hopefully that's a quick enough explanation, but PTSD is typically assigned from like a single event. Like even just us losing Jake, we found him. That was pretty fucking traumatic. So I have had a lot of PTSD around that. It doesn't look the way you would think it would. It just comes out in agitation and, the fear that someone else in my family is going to die like that. And also just fear in general. When one of my puppies makes an off sound or a loud noise, the fear it's intense. Every single morning I'm checking to see if my husband's alive. Charlie, I've never really worried about this with her. I've found myself not wanting to go to her door a couple of times because I don't want to find her dead. So that's how the PTSD is looking for me. But I already came into this experience with a lifetime of trauma, but thankfully I had dealt with it for the last couple of years. And so I have really good tools. So anyways, Lord, this is why I need notes. Why I need notes, y'all. Okay. So the thing is that if you have a history of trauma, your brain, let's say your brain is scanning the environment at like 1 beat per second on a normal brain. And I'm just making this shit up just to kind of give you a representation. I don't fucking know. Okay. So let's say it gives you like 1 beat per second of just scanning from left to right to left, because it's always looking. And then let's say you have PTSD of some form, and that's going to increase the rate of observation. So now let's say it's 100 beats per second. So that would be a lot, right? If your brain was just frantically searching the horizon for danger, I want you to sit for a second and think about what that would feel like inside. It's like picture your brain scanning the horizon, left to right to left, 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 over and over and over and over and over, all fucking day long. What do you think your body's going to do in response to that? Your heart rate's going to get really fast, right? It's going to make you a little hot, because when your heart rate gets high, you're hot, maybe a little sweaty. And if somebody tried to hug you when you were in that state, what would you do? I know I pushed them away if I was in that state. That is the state that I woke up in and went to sleep in before. So any sort of trigger, when it triggers you, that's what is triggered. When you hear people saying, I'm triggered, that's what is triggered. That response to look for danger. You're triggered to be on alert, and that you're not safe. Your nervous system responds to this experience by being like, oh my God, we're not fucking safe. We're not fucking safe. Now, the people that I am seeing that are living in more of a functional freeze, I think I'm hesitating to say this because I don't want to piss people off, but you know what? I'm welcoming you to say something that disagrees with this. So my feeling, and I'm not talking about psychological proof of this, I'm talking about me trying to understand from an internal perspective of what freeze is. Because I would freeze in conflict in public and then come home and fight it out with my family. But that happened so little that I never really stopped to understand the process, because I understand the process of fight. I understand the process of flight. I didn't understand freeze. And so the way I feel about that, like if I'm trying to feel it from my perspective, I'm always telling you, I tell clients this, and I know if you've heard more than one episode, you've heard me describe being triggered like running from the bear. We're running from something that is trying to kill us. There's not room for feelings when we're running from the bear, right? So I imagine that the person who is stuck in freeze feels all of that same thing. They've got that heart rate, they're sweaty, they're fucking terrified. But they have found a tree to hide behind. They're in a shrub like this. Oh, if you're listening, you don't know what I'm saying. But I'm covering my head with my hands, and I'm cowered down, and I'm so scared. And all I'm thinking is, please don't find me. Please don't find me. Please don't find me. Oh my God. Please don't find me. Please don't find me. Please don't find me. And I can't move, right? But my heart rate looks the same as the person who's running, and my sweat looks the same as the person who's running. And so that's the way I'm kind of understanding freeze. And it's important to me for the work I do to be in the feeling of the person and what they're experiencing, because truly I don't teach from my credentials. I teach from my lived experience, and I have to know their experience to feel like I can be helpful to them. And that's not to say that I'm constantly envisioning the things that are happening in their life, because that wouldn't do me any good, but I am trying to experience the feelings that they experience so that I know, oh, right. Okay, so even though that looks different on the outside, I know that feeling because I feel that too. Kind of like I'm always saying, like the common narratives that we all carry is I'm too much and not enough. I have the weight of the world on my shoulders and no one to help me carry it. I am a fundamental fuck up. And at my core, I'm pretty sure I'm fundamentally unlovable. We all have them, every one of us. So no arguments. I shan't argue about that. So I think that the person over in freeze who is hiding in the shrubs believes they aren't strong enough to fight the bear or fast enough to run from the bear. I think that they're just enclosed within their own experience and just hoping for someone to come and rescue them. So those are our common responses to overthinking. Overthinking happens when you are triggered. So, like for me, let's say, what was a common trigger for me before that caused overthinking? Inconsistency was a really big one for me, and it still kind of is. Inconsistency feels very unsafe to me. So, like, if you are a forgetter, like my husband is a classic forget, he just fucking forgets everything. And the worst part about that is the fact that he'll be so fucking determined that you've never mentioned it to him in your damn life, but you know you have. But like, that was something that really triggered me. And so my heart rate would start to increase very quickly, and I'm scanning the horizon for danger. But what that looked like as an internal process is being very sure that inconsistency mean he is somehow betraying me, and then going to look for the proof of betrayal over and over and over and over and over. Overthinking can occur when someone triggers your visibility wound and they do something that just makes you feel really unseen and unheard. And then you make that entire interaction or experience mean a lot about you and your character. That's classic overthinking. I used to do this too, but if somebody said they were going to call me back but didn't, or just like ignored me even a little bit, or for instance, in my grief, something that was really triggering at first was like the really common platitudes that people use when someone you love dies. It would feel very, you're just doing that because you don't care. Thankfully, I understand what a grief-phobic society we live in, how emotionally unavailable people really are, and I understand like what their intent is versus the impact. So that was something I chose to work through because I wanted to do this grief process in the way that causes me the least amount of harm, in essence. And so it causes me harm to sit in that feeling that people don't care about me, because that was an old story. That's an old story that I've been carrying for far too long. So that's something that I really had to work on. But used to it I would create a whole little story about that and then imagine them willfully and intentionally like hurting me. So that's how overthinking works. I feel so fucking off track here without any notes. I don't even know if I'm making sense. And I guess I'll just use grief as an example really quick. Like, the remorse and the regret thing. Like at first there was think about Jake and it would hurt. And I think in efforts to avoid the hurt, my brain would naturally be like, man, you wouldn't be feeling this way. Like this wouldn't have even happened if you had done this or done this or done this or done this. And thankfully, I was able to recognize that right away as what my brain wants to do, which is ruminate. And I was able to work through that. But what working through it means is understanding what the story behind that is. But first, that awareness, oh, my brain is trying to protect me from something right now, because this is the only thing it knows how to do to keep me alive, is to tell me shit that will keep me caught in a thought spiral. And then I don't ever have to feel anything, because that's how much we think feeling is dangerous. I think because we experienced pain from a young age, all of us, I don't care what your experience was, the first time you felt pain, you didn't know what it was, how to get through it. Likely you didn't have anyone around you to comfort you and nurture you through it, or walk you through these key emotional developmental milestones. And so now we've just come to be afraid of it because pain meant something so different when we had no tools for dealing with it, right? And so now, um, I do a lot of what's true. Is it true that any one of those things could have changed this outcome? Possibly, but I don't have any proof of that. But what I do know is true is that it won't change the outcome now. It will not change anything. And so I'm not going to do that to myself. Then I have to soothe myself. Hey, even if it was true, can't be true now. And you deserve a life full of love and peace and joy, right? But something that I really had to work on a lot whenever I first started this journey, this was really before I really started addressing the overthinking, was it started whenever I was like trying to walk through my issues with men. And I was like, okay, so I clearly have daddy issues. What is it? And my dad was one of those people who his shame kept him separate from us. So if there was a birthday party or a birthday that he didn't have money to give you, his shame kept him from reaching out on our birthdays. And that was painful for me because I just wanted to know that my dad thought of me on my birthday and loved me, you know? And he kept separation from us a lot because of his shame. And now I can see that and that's okay. But the little girl that had to walk through that with nobody to really help me really believed that I was so unspecial to my whole family. I'm a middle child. I have real typical middle child energy, but also this is what happens when you're overly criticized by a caregiver, grandma, and, not nurtured in really pivotal moments. Like literally any one of us have these feelings at any given time. So whenever I was trying to understand like what if you had to isolate one thing from your parents or specifically your dad, what is it? And I was like, I didn't feel chosen. And that's the thread that I've seen among the men in my lifetime that I have, given my love to is I'd never felt chosen by them. Now, the other side of that, and I mean, other side like post healing, I've realized I couldn't receive love from anyone, let alone the men I was giving my love to, because I was very much getting wrapped up in real familiar behavior patterns so that I could recreate the dynamic between me and my dad and me and the rest of my family to try to fix something. So that's something that I know in hindsight now, but I did not feel chosen. And I never felt prioritized by any of the men that I've ever given my love to either. But, my parents were addicts. So at first it was they're choosing drugs and alcohol over me. And then as you go through watching them try for sobriety and hoping like hell, them hoping like hell that they're going to be able to hold on to it. And watching them, spiral in shame when they weren't, saw enough of that to know like they weren't actively choosing drugs or alcohol over me. They didn't. Sorry, my glasses are hurting my head. That wasn't the choice they felt they were making. And so logically and rationally I could understand that, but there was this little girl inside of me that still hadn't dealt with all of that, who never got to say out loud like that really felt like you never chose me. I was never a priority. And so, latching onto familiar patterns, if I can work hard enough to fix this dude that I'm with and get him to see how beautiful and magical and wonderful I am and get him to choose me, ta-da, I win at life. All of a sudden, my parents have chosen me. Everything's great. It's all good. That's not true. I did that a lot. And one of the things when you are working through old narratives and old paradigms and you want a new belief, you got to kind of talk to the person who went through that. So for me, I would talk to little 5 and 6-year-old me because I can feel a lot of like wounding from that particular age. I was still so sweet at that age and so soft because some of my softness started to leave me at a pretty young age. But at 5 and 6, I was still beautifully soft, and had experienced some real shit by then, and yet still had this capacity to see the beauty and whimsy in the world. I think of myself as very whimsical at 5 and 6, just precious, And so, I wanted to kind of walk you through how I talked to her because I know that I talked to you guys a lot about showing up as the mama I needed all the time, all day, every day. And so this is how I talked to my younger self because I had to realize, okay, I felt like I was not special, not chosen, unlovable. And I think we all feel that way because that's the programming that happened when a very well meaning caregiver a lot of times, like, they don't know that they're doing these things by telling you to stop crying or they're gonna give you something to cry about, whatever. It felt like normal practice to them, and, like, I'm not talking about this to make you think that you need to see your parents one way or the other. I'm just telling you we all receive shitty-ass programming because the ego is very big, and when you're a child, you see things from the ego's point of view, so everything relates back to me. So if the world is chaos, it's because I'm a piece of shit. So if my parents aren't showing up, it's because I'm not worthy of them showing up. If they're criticizing me, it's because I'm never doing anything right. If they divorce, it's because I caused them too much stress. See what I'm saying? Those are the little children that we have to address. So for me, I'm always like, hey, and I just sit there and I just hold my heart a little bit because that's where she lives. And I say, honey, you were always special. You were always special. Look at you. You were so beautiful and sweet and kind and magical and whimsical. You could pick flowers and be thrilled with these little flowers for hours, and then you'd want to go share them with someone to show them the flower's beauty. Like, look how fucking adorable you are. You're going to tell me that that little baby wasn't worth all the love in this world? You're going to tell me that baby girl doesn't deserve to be loved, doesn't deserve kindness, especially from the people who brought her into this world? She doesn't deserve good? Baby, you deserved all the good things. But what's true is your parents did not have the capacity to give that for you. But as much as that hurts, and it's okay that it hurts, that didn't have shit to do with you, honey. They're just their own imperfect people. It's okay that it's hard for you to understand, but it was never about you. You were the perfect little girl. You couldn't have been any better, actually. Nothing that you did created the life around you. Nothing, nothing. You are perfect. You are so worthy of all the love that you've ever craved in your whole life. You were then and you are now. You were perfect. And I'm sorry that they ever made you feel otherwise. I'm so sorry. And then I hug her because she needs a hug. So that's the kind of shit I'll be doing all the time to comfort myself. But now it's more like I feel afraid, like something will trigger my fear. And I say, oh, honey, are you afraid? What are you afraid of? Yeah, I see. I see. Yeah, it's scary. It's scary to think that other people that you love are going to die. That is scary. What do you need right now? You need some love? You need a hug? Yeah, I'll give you a hug. But have you eaten today, honey? Because you know that always makes it worse. Let's eat. Maybe take a shower? Yeah, let's do that. Let's take a shower. No, you don't have to wash your hair today. You don't have to do that. Pull your hair up in a clip. Get in there and just wash your body real quick. Let that water hit you. Wash your face. You know you feel so much better when you wash your face. If you don't feel like a shower, at least let's go wash your face. All day, every day. Because I am triggered much less often to like this extent where I'm running from the bear, but I am still triggered all the time. And especially in a grieving process, I am still triggered all the time. So it's easy for me to acknowledge what came up: fear, rejection, abandonment. And that would take a much longer episode, but I don't think that you have to be able to know exactly what's going on to stop and go, whoa, 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 hey, hey, you all right? What just happened there, honey? What happened? What do you need right now? So I guess overall what I'm saying is, and actually I don't know if I've made a point at all. Shit. I just want people to understand overthinking is your brain's way of keeping you alive. And if we can just stop and get curious about what happened after we've grounded, of course. So really quick, I've said this 1,000 times, but I guess if this is your first episode with me, and people are loving this. Like the more people I tell about this, the more it's really working, because traditional grounding didn't work for me. The like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method and stuff, because I'm so much of an overthinker. Any pause and I was right back into the trigger. So I rapid fire name everything that I can see in front of me, and then it just puts you present, puts you where your feet are. Now I'm at like a 6 or a 5 from a 10. Now I can deal with feelings. Now I can go, what was that? What was that? Oh my goodness. Okay, what do I need? What are we doing? Which reminds me, I did, after the last solo episode, I did put a quick sheet for grounding in the Patreon. It's on the free tier, I'm pretty sure. So subscribe to the Patreon. Yes, it is. Subscribe to the Patreon and you can get that for free. And I also put in a daily practice to kind of help you build up resilience, so that whenever the trigger comes, you're prepared in what to do. because you've like done this practice. Okay. Like you've got your coping mechanism ready to go. You know what you need, things like that. So I did put that in the Patreon. So go grab that. I think that'll be good. But yeah, I guess in some ways I already talked about this in last week's episode, but I just wanted to like just talk more about it and just like give you an insider point of view. But I am a little worried that I didn't make a single fucking point, and I'm sorry. I just don't feel good. I guess if I wanted you to walk away with a really quick 3 steps, it's one, overthinking is just your brain's way of trying to protect you. And I don't care if you're overthinking an award you got and you're feeling not worth that award, like you're battling imposter syndrome, you're grieving and living inside your remorse, regret, whatever it is, or you're fighting in the shower or in your car with someone because you wish you had said something that you didn't say. That's all the same shit. All the same shit. So you need to ground, get out of your head, get present, and then move. What's the next aligned action? So I think there's that, how to comfort yourself. And that is to understand that you can feel. Like if you just stop, like grief right now really hits me in the tummy because let's say it's his martial arts place posts a picture of some other kid competing. It's still getting me every time. So it's like my stomach drops, I hold my breath. And at first I was just swiping away really quickly, and that's okay. But I have stopped and go, oh, that hurts for 5 seconds, and then I keep moving. So just stopping to feel things for just a minute, especially when we're feeling like we're not chosen or feeling like we're not special or that nobody cares, nobody sees us, we're so fucking misunderstood. And when those feelings come up, I just go, oh, and you don't have to identify all of it. You can work that out later. We're just working through the overthinking so that we can be present and grounded and receive all of the things that this life is supposed to give us, which really is love, joy, peace, abundance. And you can't get those things if you're stuck in a constant thought spiral, right? So that's really the message that I want is stop and feel for a second. You don't have to know exactly what's coming up to go, oh, that makes me kind of anxious. I'm anxious. That hurt my feelings. It's kind of like a lot of people have trouble admitting when they're jealous. So like, hey, listen, I'm going to be the first to say when I see someone I know getting the shit I want and I haven't gotten it yet, oh, jealous. And what I used to do is pretend I wasn't by moving away from it really quickly. And then, somehow pushing them away in my head. And then, in our outer world, not being close to them anymore because I was jealous. Now, thankfully, jealousy is something I learned to overcome a while ago, even before this healing journey, but I'm more intentional now, even whenever I feel the jealousy, to go, oh, I'm jealous. I'm jealous. But what's jealous mean? It means I think that I'm not capable of getting that or that I won't ever get that. Baby, my time's coming. And you know what this actually is? This is proof of that. This is proof that my time's coming, that like I'm seeing people around me, surrounded in my energy that are getting the things I want. That means I'm next, right? So that's how we can start to shift away from whatever the overthinking was causing, whatever the story that was being created. We can't rewrite that story if we're not acknowledging that it was written to begin with, right? So I go, hey, whew, that hurt my feelings. Why that hurt my feelings? Maybe I care right now, maybe I don't. Maybe just acknowledging that it hurt my feelings gets me out of the moment. A lot of times that's the truth for me, is like, because resistance keeps us stuck. So the more I used to live in this world where I was constantly like, you should not feel that way. You're such a horrible human for being jealous or for being insecure or whatever it was. And now I'm just like, I don't like the way that felt. That feels yucky. And usually just acknowledging it takes away all of its power. So those are the main takeaways that I really want you to take from today's episode, I guess. Shit, I don't know. Thanks for hanging with me if you liked anything I said, because I'm not well. I'm not feeling well today. So I made a post today on Facebook and Instagram. So if you saw this, this is what happened. I'm actually really tired and don't feel great. So I'm just going to leave it at, we gave Charlie Jake's PlayStation today, and it was just really hard for me because it was Jake's and it was one of his most prized possessions. It was PlayStation 5 that you don't even know what all I had to go through to be in a queue line for days to get that for him for Christmas that year that it came out. When was that? Was that like during quarantine? Anyway, so it was hard. It was really hard for me to let that out of his room. His room was like a little time capsule, so not a lot's changed in there. It was devastating when the smell of him left. That was another loss. And then so now his PlayStation not being in use and now moved. It's another loss. It's just like a little weird thing. So it was a really hard day for me. Hard because it brought up a lot and I cried a lot and I was already sick. So just heavy. It's just heavy. Not That's the best way to describe it. But otherwise, I'm doing okay. I can't say anything really different than last solo episode. Oh, I did want to tell you this. Wednesday, April 29th is the 2-year anniversary for Emotionally Unavailable. It is also the 24th anniversary of losing my mother, and it is the 5th anniversary of my first book, Owning My Crazy. So if you haven't purchased that, you should. Was basically just my childhood story and then kind of what I was doing to cope with it up to that point, which was very limited. And if you see it listed twice, the second edition, I re-released it with a different cover and some stuff to get it to a larger market, but everybody buys off Amazon anyway, so I wish I hadn't done that because I feel like I cheapened the book, and I might even just delete it for sale. But so it's the anniversary. I would love if you'd buy a piece of merch or the book or whatever. I always do things. I try really hard to do big things on the day that my mom died because it's just my, I guess, way of staying connected with her and enduring connection and honoring her and honoring myself in my loss. So yeah, anyway, I'm hoping to have someone in particular be our anniversary episode, but I don't know that's going to be able to happen. So I don't know who's going to be that episode. Anyway, I guess that's it. I love you guys. I appreciate you being here. Sorry for all the rambling. I hope that helps. But I'm starting to work on the audio library. And so, like, me saying, like, you are special, things like that, that's part of what's going to be in the audio library, is helping you walk through. I'm going to help you through a thought spiral. Okay. So if you liked any of that content from today, go ahead and get your subscription and take advantage of the stuff that's already on there. And I'll be, thoughtfully adding to that library. I don't want to do it with pressure or force because I want it to stay grounded in love and authentic to me and this space. But yeah, I don't know, you guys. My manifesting's getting so good because I manifested a certain amount of downloads. Got that. I manifested the other day. All I had to think was I saw what the Thunder playoff shirt was for that day. I was like, oh, I just want to go to that game so bad. Got a free ticket that night. Got like 2 new clients in 1 week. Like pretty much anything I had written down for manifesting came true that week. So I'll be hitting the computer again, writing more stuff. But anyway, that's it. I'm tired. Thanks for bearing with me and my scratchy throat. I love you guys so much. I just appreciate this audience so much. You're my little familia. I'll give a quick shout out to Lori because she likes when I do that. Hi, Lori. Hi, Suze. Yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for coming to Emotionally Unavailable. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share. Emotionally